Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys how to use the unit circle to answer some of your questions. And I think we've done a really good job of giving you context towards it. I tend to not introduce the unit circle until later because then people tend to use it like a multiplication chart and they don't understand what they're actually doing. So that's why I tend to introduce it later. This is later. Um, so like let's use this one for example because we found this one earlier and I think the answer was negative 1 over root 3. Yeah, so this one's negative 1 over root 3, so you're going to have to find negative pi over 6. So you guys know that negative means that we're traveling in the clockwise direction, and then I go to pi over 6, which is this guy here. Okay, so I'm looking at this guy here and I'm looking for the tangent of theta. So the tangent of theta, I'm going to lean on the definition that I will write down. Sorry, I'm annotating, so it's not going to be as neat. So I'm going to use that definition of tangent theta is equal to y over x because we are in the unit circle, right? In the unit circle, you could use y over x because your denominator, I mean, not your denominator, your hypotenuse or your radius is 1. Okay. So I'm going to use the fact that I can just pull off y over x. And this looks really messy because your y is negative 1/2. And you're thinking, Miss Johnson, it's not going to be right. It's not going to come out the same. Don't worry. Okay. Divided by root 3 over 2. And then, so this is technically your tangent. And then now I've brought you back to 6th grade. And now you have to divide by a fraction. Dividing by a fraction, you guys remember, you just multiply it by the reciprocal. So imagine this guy flipped. So let me flip him. I actually say handstand in my class. So give this guy a handstand. So he's the 2 is on the top, the root 3 is on the bottom. And you notice that the 2's divide out, and I still get negative 1 over the square root of 3, which is exactly what we got earlier. Okay, the way we got earlier was by graphing it on our axes, drawing our triangle, labeling our triangle, and then making our signs correct. So this guy's got to be negative, and then going opposite, which is negative 1 over root 3. I personally like this way better because I don't have to memorize this because this looks like way hard to memorize or way hard to use. So I want to show you that you can do this with this. So let's practice one of them so that you guys can look. Can you find me the tangent of, let's do this one. Do this one, negative pi over 3. So first things you have to do is you have to find the angle. Here, you're just going to use the definition and then divide. If you're doing it over here, you find the angle, draw the triangle, label your triangle. Okay. So go ahead and do that. I'll give you a couple seconds to figure that out and then come back and check with me. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to find the angle negative pi over 3. So it means I'm traveling in the clockwise direction and I'm trying to get to pi over 3, which is this one. Just a side note, if you take pi over 3 and you add 5 pi over 3, that's why you get a whole 2 pi, right? Okay. So when I look at this one this way, it says use y and do this over this. And yeah, your 2's would cancel, right? Okay, and then so you're left with negative root 3. That's what your classmates got. That's what I got too. Does anybody need to see that like written out and done? Very good. Okay. So the way for this definition here, I'm going to write tangent of negative pi over 3 is equal to y over x. So I'm going to take my y and go negative root 3 over 2 and divide that by 1/2. And just like we did over here, we're just going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by 2 over 1. And the 2's are going to divide out. So this is just equal to negative root 3. Okay, very good. If you were to do it just graphing that one angle, So all I do is I go like this. I draw the triangle in, which because it's pi over 3, I know that this is the 60 side. So in my brain, I'm like, oh, this is the 60 side. So that means this is 1, this is 2, and this is root 3. And then I check for signs. If I go right, that's positive. If I go down, that's negative. So this guy needs a big O negative right here. And then the tangent definition I'm using is opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of this would be negative root 3 over 1. So which way do you like better? Great, do that way. I personally, I'm an advocate for this way because every single time I'm practicing like three major things in terms of trig. Number one, I know where angles are located. I'm not looking for them on the chart. It's like a multiplication chart, right? Like you kind of don't have context for why that answer is the answer. Number two, I'm practicing labeling my 30, 60, 90, or 45, 45, 90. Really big deals in trig, right? Your special right triangles, if you don't know them, and if you can't recognize, like, oh, that's a 30, 60, 90, oh, that's a 45, 45, 90, you're really hurting like the way you understand the math, right? And then the last thing I'm doing is I'm practicing my definitions of sine, cosine, and tangent. It means opposite over adjacent. You are practicing things here too, just so that we're on the same page. You are practicing that the definition of sine is y in the unit circle. The definition of cosine is x in the unit circle. And tangent is y over x. You are practicing those things. But for me, in terms of what I observed in my students, whenever students are doing it this way, they come out much stronger than just referring to a unit circle. But now that you know that the unit circle exists, those of you who do it this way, use this way to verify your answers. For those of you who like the unit circle better, just use this way to verify your answers. You always want a way to verify your answers, especially in math, because like if I do this wrong and I pick the wrong angle, right? Like I'm like, oh, it's pi over 4, and I'm in a hurry and I go this way. And I'm like, oh, the tangent is gonna be this over this. Oh, that's just gonna be 1. Oh, it's 1. And because you went, wait, actually it's -1. Because you went in the wrong direction, nothing ever told you to do that. So by you doing it a completely different way, which is not really completely different, right? The unit circle was built off of these drawings, right? Um, that would make sure that you had the right answer. So which way did you like better? Let me know.